Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I hope we're all well. First of all, I'd like to start by saying happy birthday, Carrie Piper. Now, if I splattered Carrie Piper's face into a cake, I'd be dead. So, we've got a packed show tonight. We've got James Black on with us. There he is. There's the myth man there.
You all right?
Very well, yourself?
All right, man. All better for seeing you.
Oh, lovely. Well, I've not had time to wash my hands tonight, so you'll have to excuse me for that.
Did you fall over? That what happened?
Yeah, I fell over. Joining Marty is his shouty brother co-host, is Marty Clyde.
Evening, everybody.
Hello.
Hello. Everybody well?
We're all good.
Thanks, Marty.
All good. And, of course, we've got Paul Capaldi.
Unfortunately.
And there he is. What kind of hat's that you've got on? Oh, no, don't answer that, because we've got the next guest to come on. Giving it away. We've also got Dean Felton tonight.
Hello.
Evening, Dean.
Evening, mate.
And the talk of Speedway at the moment. Ooh, controversy. We've got Kyle Bickley.
How's it going?
How you doing, you all right, Kyle?
Good.
So we might as well kick it off by asking you, Kyle, how's this week went for you?
Yeah, it's been a bit of a strange one, hasn't it? I mean, unfortunately, lost my place in the championship. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is, and it's a tough one. You know, it's a team, isn't it? You know, there's 7 riders on the team. You need to do what's best for the team, I believe. So, yeah, not the best for me, but it is what it is, and I think this is just Speedway for you.
That's exactly it. And at the end of the day, you're still number one. You're still the captain of the Bullets, which gives you the chance, especially on Saturday night, to showcase your worth and go out there and build on yourself more than anything.
Yeah, definitely. You know, I still get, track time up there and still get a few meetings in Berwick now. Obviously, the Mighty Bullets. Soon
Exactly
to be
that.
league champions.
And that's the thing. Saying that, Kyle, about the league champions, is your main focus now on that league title, taking the Bullets team and winning the league title?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the boys got close last year. Obviously, you were with us. So, yeah, I reckon we should be pushing for it this year. And we've got a good start of the year, and be nice for everyone to have some at the show at the end of the year for them, and especially for Ace as well, first year in the league, and winning something would be pretty special for him, something to remember, and for the fans as well. Certainly for the fans, it'd be brilliant for something to for them to have at the end of the year and say, look, we've won this or we've won that. So yeah, that's definitely one of the focuses right now, and getting back into the championship as well, I think, because as you know yourself, it's not nationally a few meetings, but it's not too many. So yeah, definitely, then more meetings will help me as well, I think.
That's it, absolutely. I mean, you say that the National League is very competitive, but the only problem we have, it's just there's not as much meetings as we would like. I mean, at least we've got the playoffs this year to look forward to, which I would say we're pretty concrete that we're going to make that. So yeah, it's just picking up guest bookings and trying to get as much track time, as well as me. But yeah, just we need to keep on the bike and keep going.
Yeah, that's the aim of the game, isn't it? Just keep ticking over, getting meetings, and yeah, just ironing out issues and stuff, and winning some races. That's what you need, and does you a world of good to just get out there and win some races and be on the bike 3 or 4 times a week. You know, I'd not have it any other way, I don't think.
Aye, exactly. And Dean, yourself, when was the last time you were on a bike?
About 3 weeks ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And where was that about?
At Leicester.
Oh, all right. So you're still having a bit blast here and there, going for it.
Doing the upright thing, the upright meeting at the Isle of Wight. So.
Oh yeah, and that seems to be quite a popular thing that's coming back, isn't it?
I've done the Veteran Championship every year, like once a year. But I've decided to do this meeting at the Isle of Wight this year, so I've made me a faster engine. But I was on one of my Weslakes at Leicester and it snapped a conrod, destroyed the engine, absolutely everything, destroyed the frame.
Oh.
Yeah, it was a proper destruction job.
Did you get any injury yourself? Very flying metal?
No, it's just going into the corner. But the thing was, I could still hear the flywheels going round. So I thought, the engine's just cut out. It went with a bang. When I looked down, my ignition box had a big hole in it. I thought, what's happening? Must have been my ignition box. And when I stopped, the conrod was dragging along the track, and it had just destroyed the frame, everything. It was my best Weslake as well. Like, I love that bike, but it is no more.
You did love that bike.
Yeah, I did love that bike.
Yeah,
I've got a few
past
more,
tense.
so we're okay. The thing was, I was going to retire it that day because I've done this GM. I've done a GM SR, put like modern stuff in it, you know, modern head on it, everything. And I was going to ride that from now on, but unfortunately, the Weslake didn't make it.
And to start off with, was that just going to be a bit of fun, and just like and then it's gotten a bit like I need to up my game a little bit more.
I hate to do that because I stopped racing in 2013, and then I did the Veteran Championship every year for about 3 years, and I just kept saying, we're going to have a bit of fun. Don't care if I come last. But, you know, once you've raced, you know, you win your first race, and you think, maybe I can win this. You know, and by your 5th ride, you're like, anybody comes past me, I'm going to kill them. You know? And then on the way home, you don't talk to anybody if you don't win. It's like, it never goes away. So, you know, but this year, because the Veteran Championship's always at Lyd, it's a small little track. You know, you don't really need to be fit to ride it. You know, you can get away with it. But the Isle of Wight, it's a massive track. It's bumpy. To be honest, if I don't do any laps beforehand, it'll kill me. It's like 3 rides in, my hands will go, my arms will go, my legs will go, and I'll just be a quivering wreck. So I'm doing as many laps as I can, just practicing. And hopefully I'll be in the top.
Careful, Dean, you might get a National Development League place the way you're going.
Well, no, I'm not doing that.
Has Newcastle been on the 40 yet?
Yeah, I think I was up that way last week. So anybody saw my van around there, I wasn't signing for Newcastle, honestly.
It was all over it was all over Facebook and everything.
Yeah, I was in Glasgow as well on the Monday. But yeah, it started out as a bit of fun, and it still is a bit of fun. But you know, once you're a racer, you'll always be a racer. It doesn't matter how many tries you can try to convince yourself. I mean, last year I did in the Veteran Championships. I had 3 wins, and then I was leading my 4th ride. I won't say I was showboating, but I was certainly getting carried away. And I spun it, 360 to it, brand new helmet, scratched all the back of my new helmet. You know, and it's just like, what a tit. It's just like, why? It's just a bit of fun, but it never goes away.
And when did you start riding in the first place, Dean? Was it?
I started in '93 in that what was called the British League 2 then, which was before the Amateur League, National League, or whatever you want to call it. And like every team had a 4-man junior team that they went around the country with. You did every second half, and I started in that with Wolves, and we went, you know, all the elite league tracks as they were at the time. We went all around there. That's where I started. And then when the National League, the National League, but it was called the Amateur League then in '94, I joined Buxton then and went on from there.
That was Buxton Mark 1 though, wasn't it? The stock car.
Yeah, that was Buxton Mark 1 on the stock car track, and everybody hated that track except me. I loved it. I thought it was the best. Well, at the time, it was fabulous because it took skill. It didn't matter really about. To be honest, you could have gone around on a 300cc because it took so much skill to ride it rather than engine power, horsepower. I loved it.
Was it bigger than the one that they've got now, or
It
smaller?
had longer straights, but the
Right.
corners were like half the size. It's like a bit like a mini Newcastle,
Right.
like long straights, tight turns.
Right.
A
But they
mini
were really
Newcastle.
tight turns, like you'd literally turning back on yourself. Plus, it wasn't the smoothest surface in the world, but like the modern Buxton track.
And then, of course, that year you got to ride Barrett and Lough.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, that was the first ever meeting for Buxton. Was it was Barrington Lough on the Saturday, and then we went to Linglithgow on the Sunday, and that was the first 2 meetings I did for Buxton. That was before the Buxton opened,
Right.
because they didn't open until a month later.
I do vaguely remember Buxton riding against Berwick, but
Yeah,
I
I
can't
remember
seeing
crashing in
you
the second half.
at Berwick.
I think I top scored in the meeting with about 6 because I think the score was like 55-25, something like that. And I got 6 in the meeting, and then in the second half I was leading the scratch race or whatever you want to call it, and I crashed. And I remember that fence quite well.
You've got to remember that the Berwick team that year, they were pretty handy at that level.
Yeah.
Some of the lads that they had, so
Yeah.
there's not many teams went there and got a good result.
Well, it's what's what. I mean, we weren't a bad team. We were just rubbish on away. But like with there was a good Scottish base at that time. You had the riders coming through like Barry Campbell and Blair Scott, he was quite good then, and people like that, and Swalesy, and it was quite a good little setup there up there. And it was I can't think of his name now. He used to run Linglithgow, Alan Robertson, yeah, and he brought all those riders on, and they were pretty good riders then.
Yeah,
that would have been the days that Ryan Milburn, when Ryan was riding, there was always I can't remember Ryan riding because I would be too young, but my dad always said that I think that Ryan would have made it if he hadn't have broke it was a bad crash where he broke both his legs. I don't know if you remember that. And I think he was quite a handy little rider.
It would have been after that time, but a few years after that. But it would have been. I can remember him having the crash certainly. And it was handy at the time certainly. If he hadn't gotten hurt, I think he may well have went on to be something. But unfortunately,
when I first started at Wolves, there was I don't really remember him, Shane Cooper. Do you remember? He rode a 12U a bit, but he rode mainly second half. The guy was an absolute psychopath, and he just crashed. He had the most spectacular crashes, but he never got injured. I mean, he literally tore down fences wherever he went.
Was it not
such entertainment? He's like folklore in Wolverhampton. This guy is. He was just like, but his son's riding that.
I'm saying, Dean, was it not Sid Cooper he was called?
No, it was Shane.
Well, if it's the same guy you're talking about, coming off bend 4 at Berriton, and he just never turned, and he wiped out. There was Davy Meldrum's first season, and he just T-boned Davy coming off the corner. And well, at the time when he was working in the T-bar at Berriton, which was just behind the 4th bend, and the folklore is that Davy once he come to, he was like, "Oh, all right, mum," because this Sid Cooper or whatever, just absolutely wiped him out coming off the corner.
It was definitely Shane. Unless he went by the nickname Sid, but I never remember that.
He was kamikaze anyway.
Absolute psychopath.
You still do get a few psychopaths in it. I mean, like nowadays, it got to be like, to you, Kyle, what rider do you not like going out beside? Like, what rider are you worried about if you're? Yeah, I mean, and you can say it. You might as well, because they'll probably know themselves.
Oh, I think one of them was definitely like, probably Garrity, I reckon.
You can't say Garrity because he's in the jail.
Yeah, I'll say that. I rode with Garrity for like 2 years. I thought he was fantastic as a partner. I was like, never had a crash with him or anything. I thought he was great.
You remember when him and Ben Barker rode at Redcar, Roy Clark used to refer to them as the Suicide Squad.
I know. Obviously, what he's done now, but I can remember being in the changing rooms with him at Sheffield, and I think he only scored 1 point in the meeting, and he just turned around and he said, "I'm going to have to rob somebody on the way home now for money." You know, and you just laughed, thinking, "But
really?
you know, was he serious?" Was he
probably did.
Yeah.
Turns out eventually it was serious.
Yeah, exactly. But you know, at the time, he just thought, "Oh yeah, funny." But but I got on with him great. As a person, I got on with him absolutely fine. I never had any problems with him.
Yeah, I always got on him pretty well. I always got on with him pretty well. It was just always when you're on like gate 4 or something, the first year I started championship, and he was on gate 3, like working at Scunthorpe, I'd be like, please make a gate and get over him. Like, don't go next to him, because he would just he'd be charging for that fence. And you can always hear his engine as well. Oh yeah, I can just see him hanging up there the bike. Guts out of that engine. Oh, yeah.
He had quite a peculiar style on a bike as well.
Yeah, I actually think if he had the right backing, he could have made it. Really, really made it. But
he had plenty of talent. He
just never had the backing. And I say that I don't think he even had the backing of England as well, of Britain. Of it was Rossiter at the time. And I can remember, I don't know if it was a test match or something, but Rossiter picking Nathan Greaves over him. And I just thought, okay. And I got nothing against Nathan, but Garrity's a far better rider than Nathan Greaves. But he picked Greaves because Greaves was riding for Swindon and Rossiter's the Swindon boss. And I just thought it's decisions like that make or break, maybe, a career.
Exactly.
But that doesn't excuse what he did.
No, nothing does. It's but as you say, like at one time he looked like he was destined for sort of great things, you know. And but you say maybe if it had, again, it's all ifs, buts, and maybes. You know, if it had, you know, someone maybe to sort of take him under their wing a little bit, and a little bit of maybe guidance and something like that. He possibly could have went on to a great thing, because all the tools were there. But
the problem with Jason is, firstly, his upbringing was really bad, but secondly, he didn't have like Speedway runs in seasons, obviously, and the end of the season was a bad thing for him because he's got nothing to do. He doesn't do anything else, and that's when his mind goes idle. That's when he goes off doing whatever he does on his sidelines. I mean, there's plenty of rumours around him and everything. But I can remember him coming to Covcomp when I was there in this battered old Mercedes Vito, and he's going to the Czech Republic. He doesn't even know how to get there, right? And he asked to borrow a sat-nav off us. And he's like, "You're going to the Czech Republic? You haven't even got a sat-nav." Do you know what I mean? Is the van going to make? Are they going to let it on the ferry? Yeah.
But Dean, does it not make you know some of these young lads? Sometimes I'm not maybe necessarily a mentor, but somebody that's not their dad or a relative, just somebody outside that's done it, been there and done it, and can just give them that little bit of guidance on track and what have you, and just try and bring them on the straight and narrow.
I mean, Jason did have some good sponsorship, like especially when he was at Coventry. He had some good sponsorship, but he didn't really have anybody to. I think a lot of people kept him at arm's length because, you know, rumours and, you know, most of those rumours were true, and they didn't want to associate with him. But I don't know. I mean, it's a shame how it all ended. It really is. But I actually think if he had the right people behind him, he could have made it. He could have, because he got the balls to do it. He got the talent and he got the balls to do it. But he just, off track, he was, well, they don't come much wilder than he was off the track. You know, being chased over the motorways by the police in his bloody renter van. you know, it's not exactly a high flying lifestyle. I mean, I got told the other day that when he was riding for Royos and Len Silva took them all to France, you know, and they put him and Michael Lee in the same hotel room.
Oh Jesus!
And you just think, oh, surely that is a disaster waiting to happen. You know,
that's two combustible elements right there.
Yeah, exactly. You know, great party and everything, but you know,
good crack, right?
Yeah, I'm surprised there was no band.
No pun intended there, was it, James?
It'd be like someone who like Jay and Silent Bob or something, the two of them. Or
But I will say something Kyle and Greg both mentioned there is I couldn't be a National League rider today simply for the fact that I meetings. I don't know how they ride with the lack of meetings. I mean, back when I was in the National League in, say, 2004, I did 75 meetings in that year.
Yeah.
You know, I was riding at Carmarthen, I was riding at Weymouth, I was riding at Plymouth, Wimbledon. You know, it was like 3 days a week, 4 days a week. And that was just in the National League.
And what have you lads got, Greg and Kyle? How many? About
was it
20?
one a fortnight?
Hang on, I'm going to count this up right now.
Maybe 20?
Well, maybe 20.
In the meantime,
maybe?
16.
Kyle,
we had 16 fixtured.
That's terrible.
That's from April to August. We've got 16 meetings across the board. That's home and away. You know, that's them 16 would be if we got knocked out the knockout cup and didn't make the playoffs. 16 minutes across the board. And to say I figured it out last year. It was unfortunate for Kyle, but good for me. Is when you remember when Kyle, you got COVID just before the Glasgow meeting, the Bullets v Bandits, and then the red car away. That was Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and I come off the back of the Bullets v Bandits meeting straight into the red car meeting on the Sunday, going there where people would probably think, yeah, Greg's going to get maybe some gifted points. Fair enough, I scored 3. You were commentating on that meeting that night, were you not, James? And
yes,
it was more. Yes. It was 3 points, but they were hard-earned points. It could have been more, but it was just. You do see that on a scorecard sometime where a rider will get 2 or 3 or 4 points, but it doesn't reflect on the riding that they've done that night, because they could have been in first place at some point and then they've made a stupid mistake and then they get passed. And that's how I felt. I rode that night at Redcar, and it was a fantastic meeting. We discussed that the other week when Flinty was on. But to just going back to that, having them 3 meetings on the bounce brought me on leaps and bounds. And then you go to a National League meeting and you've got to sit in the house for about 2 weeks waiting. If you're not doing second halves, you're not getting track time. Yeah. And it's hard work going up against these championship lads that are in the National League as well, who are riding constantly, and you go out there, you are beat before you get to the tapes because they're fresh. They you know, it's a bloody nightmare, really.
In an ideal world, you should have 1 home, 1 away meeting every week.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how it should be in an ideal world, irrespective of what league you're in. That should be, and that's fine, and even more if you can fit them in. But that should be how it is, because if you have a stinker of a meeting and everybody has them, you've got to wait another 2 or 3 weeks before you can put that right in your head.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? When all you want to do is get back on the bike and put it right straight away, you've got to wait 3 weeks.
The thing with the good thing about being at Berwick is if we don't have a National League meeting, like Flinty, Scott and Jamie will say, if you're coming down Saturday night, get out on the track after the meeting. Just get out and get some laps in. 4 laps. And I do prefer that because they're pretty quick. It's almost like it is training, but you'll come back in for your ride after the meeting. Obviously got the curfew, get some fuel on the bike, clutch cooler on the engine, get it back out and away out again. And the sweat is pouring off you after you've done them. You do them 4 rides in about 15 minutes. It is a good fitness test for you, because you can't do that kind of fitness in the gym. It has to be on the track.
I agree.
And to that end, Kyle, did you find double headers were, the bike time was very beneficial to you?
Yeah, I don't know if I prefer the double headers or if I prefer the single meetings. I mean, the other week when we had a double header against Leicester, I was struggling in the first match and also then struggling in the second match a little bit. And it was really hard work. Like, both of the meetings were really, really hard work for us. But I think I don't know. I think I prefer to have individual meetings. Then I'm jumping on a fresh bike for the National League, I think. Instead of, doing 5 rides on it, and then another 5 starts or 6 starts or whatever.
It's quite stressful, man, and machinery double headers.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, we were supposed to have less the day after that got rained off. I've done that fixture the year before, exact same fixture, double header. And I think Berwick started at 6:30 at night, and Leicester started at 3 p.m. the next day. So, you get to about 7 or 8 p.m. On the Sunday, and I've done 4 meetings. I think last year I done about 21 or 22 rides within 24 hours. And obviously we drove from Berwick to Leicester, so that was pretty fun. But it absolutely cooked us. I was really tired after that.
It's maybe a bit too much the other way. It's maybe too much
definitely
condensed.
Definitely.
Wave.
Hello.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah, it was bit too
Just had an
much, I
update
think.
from the football. Scotland are winning 4-1.
Who against?
Hey. That's my granny.
Checking up on you.
Yeah, sorry about that interruption there.
Okay.
Because you do hear lads saying that it's all about, the bike time is the most vital thing. The more time on the bike, the fresher, the sharper you're going to be, and ultimately, you would hope that obviously that's going to reflect on your scoring power on the track.
I think it does help. Obviously, when your confidence is high and you're scoring okay, you want to ride every second of the day. You just want to keep riding. I suppose it goes the opposite way. If you're in a bit of a rut, your machinery is not doing what you think it's going to do, and you're not scoring, and Speedway can become a chore at that point. And
Yeah.
you want a gap of a few weeks to sort of reboot yourself, if you like, because it's in once you're in a rut, every rider will do this. It doesn't matter who you are, you'll get in a rut and you just cannot get out. You're blaming your mechanics, your bike, yourself, the track, the promotion, the fans. You're blaming everybody. But the point is, you can't get out of that rut. You need something to kick you out that rut. Most of the time, it's just race wins that will do it. Once you've started winning again, you'll just think, well, what the hell was all that about last month? I don't understand it, but
Yeah,
It's always fine margins, isn't it?
I agree. I think that I've definitely been in some sort of situation this year, I think, where I've just been struggling with odd problems, I think, with engines and stuff, and I think I've got everything sorted now. After this week, I went back to my old tuner, and he's opened them up and he sorted everything out now. So, but I was in the same place. Recently, you have bad meetings and you get in a rut and you can't get out of it. But the only way I've ever got out of a rut is just keep riding, just keep cracking on. That's all you can do. I mean, you can't really have a bit of time off. I don't think that helps really, sitting around the house and just thinking about it. I think you just need to be on the bike as much as possible and just pull yourself out of it. But I think that's definitely one of the hardest things in Speedway is definitely when you fall into a rut. With no matter what it is, the issue, getting out of it then is just seems impossible.
The rut, basically, the rut is in your head.
Yeah,
you've created that rut. You just don't see it, and you try to blame everything on everybody except maybe yourself. But you can see that you're a problem. But it doesn't matter what you try, even positive mental attitude. It's impossible to get out that rut. You just need that something, that stroke of luck, which gives you a race win for whatever reason. And you just think, oh, I'm back on it. And all of a sudden, you're back out of that rut and you're back on it again.
Yeah,
something
definitely.
you see quite a lot. Something you see quite a lot, isn't it? A rider will be, maybe struggling for 2-3 meetings, and then all of a sudden they pop out and win win a race sort of unexpectedly, or get a second place alongside their partner sort of unexpectedly, and all of a sudden it's the zero to hero thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's sometimes it's a stroke of luck. You just happen to be in the right place at the right time to get a couple of race wins, and you just think, oh well, that's all behind me now, and you just keep going. When you with Speedway, it's a funny sport where I know, like Kyle's talking about his engines and things like that and everything, but sometimes you're just like, you'll be in a rut, stuck there, you can't get out of it. You don't change your engines, but you get a stroke of luck and start getting some race wins, and then all of a sudden you start getting a maximum, or you're getting race wins all over the place where you haven't changed anything on the bike. You just think, oh, what was happening there? I couldn't score a point last month. Why am I scoring the point today? Why am I getting the points today? It's a strange sport, Speedway, and I think it's mainly all in the head.
Greg touched on that.
There's two heads in Speedway. One's stuck to your shoulders and the one's stuck to the engine, and they're both as important as each other.
I think Greg touched on that before. He was saying about the getting getting out on the track and getting the sort of confidence thing, and sort of pulling yourself out of a rut, and that sort of feeling that you get when you're out. It must be amazing when you guys are out in front. But if you're in that rut and you're struggling to sort of pull yourself out of it, it must be like the worst feeling in the world. And you'll get these peaks and troughs, of highs and lows, sometimes all in the same night, and almost sometimes all in the same race a bit.
Definitely. I mean, I can, like as Greg said, I've been to meetings before where I thought I've rode some of the best I've ever rode and scored 2. And then there's other meetings where I felt I've been really average and got 14. It's like not tried as hard and got 14, but tried my guts out in another meeting and got 2.
There's often, and again, Martin touched on this as well. It's fine margins, and sometimes the difference between scoring 4 and scoring 14 is actually very, very little. Yeah. In fact, it can be next to nothing. And when you see guys putting a shift in, you get guys that'll race hard for every point, and they've been the most entertaining rider on the night, and then you look at the scorecard and they've scored 4. You're like, man, the guy will never work harder in his life, and then there'll be somebody else that you didn't even notice was there, and they'll have gotten 14. It's such a unique sport in that regard, isn't it?
It is a unique sport because it takes like the mental strength of like a god to get to that first corner. And if you're not there to force yourself into that first corner, to force somebody out the way to, a situation where you could crash, but you're going to force that situation anyway, that takes some amazing mental strength. I mean, I was watching, I watch a lot of Polish League, and I was watching Smarslik last week. I can't remember who it was against, but he was visibly slow on that bike. That bike wasn't working for him, but he was literally forcing his handlebars in between the two riders. Like so they had to back off. Do you know what I mean? He was forcing the situation. Now that's mentally strong beyond, mentally strong. That is the Nicky Penson.
It's god tier. It's god tier mental strength.
Yeah, exactly. That is mentally strong. But that, that's the difference between Speedway is 60 seconds. In that 60 seconds, your mental strength has got to be everything. And if it's not, it doesn't matter what engine you're on, or what ability you've got. If you're not the mentally strongest person, you ain't going to be there.
The prime example that I've got from this season for myself was back in April at the start of the season. I'd been doing night shift lambing and went into the Armadale meeting. Was our very first meeting, and I remember sleeping in the back of the van trying to get a bit of kit. It was Kev Little and my dad heading up. All that was going through my mind was get these 4 rides out the way, get back to the lambing shed, try to get a good sleep for the Berwick home meeting on Saturday night. I hated the Armadale track. I was like, right, just let's get there, get out. I looked at the team car, who was against who, and I thought, right, well, he'll beat him. It'll be all right if I score 4 or 5. We're still going to win the meeting. Went out and got paid 12 because it was almost like I didn't care. Like, not saying that I didn't. I just was like, right, it doesn't matter because that's it. I'm not putting any pressure on myself. I'm going out. That's it. We'll probably win the meeting. And then, scoring, getting that paid 12. And I often do think that now that I'm at this age totally different scale of what Kyle's at. Kyle's probably putting a lot of pressure on himself to go out and do well, whereas like I'm still having a good time if I'm at the back. You know, it's like doesn't matter because I think that the one thing that I will say is it's probably because I left the sport for 10 years and I hated it for 2 months when I left, and I was like, thank Christ that's done with. I'm going to do something else, which ended up just being getting pissed and being an arse. But after that, I missed the sport so much, and then I realised that I was involved in like basically the moment. I was in this moment, and you don't know you're in it until you're out it. And now that I've been lucky enough to get back in it again, I'm embracing it all, because at the end of the day, we're all going to get to 60-odd-year-old, and we'll look back on the memories that we're making now. And I try feed that to a lot of the younger lads and say, this might, if you're having a bad time, this might feel like forever that you're losing races, but it goes like that. It just, your career, you start, and then the next thing you know, you're finished, and then you're like, bloody hell, time does fly. And younger lads don't see that time does fly until they get to
when you start out, when you're 16, 17, 18, 19, whatever, you want to be world champion. That pressure you're putting on yourself, although you don't realize it, is slowing you down. It is that is your nervousness, that is your anticipation, that is you not getting to the first corner. It's you slowing yourself down because you expect yourself to do it, and it's like it's all in your head. It's slowing you down. If you could just relax and enjoy it, you'd probably get there. Still want it, but and enjoy it. But,
like, I never got that thing that we always get told, and Kyle, you hear it as well. Flinty always says it at this, Bullets team talk, is always go out and enjoy riding your bike. And Flinty, that is what Flinty ends on in every team talk, is go out and enjoy riding your bike. Now, when I got told that when I was younger, I just thought it was some bullshit that they would say. But actually, it's a fact. Just go out and enjoy riding your bike. And I do. I go out there. I love it. And it doesn't matter if I'm having a bad race, because I look at it now as, well, if I've had a bad race, one of my teammates is probably going to have a good race, so I'm going to run off the back of his good race and cheer myself up, which is a difficult thing to do as a young lad. But I think that probably is because having kids, where I would just like to add, my son won all 3 of his races at Sports Day today and skinned me a tenner. So well done, Rudy, on winning all your races at Sports Day. 5-year-old.
I hope it was announced.
4-year-old, and he's made more money in sport this week than me.
Are you just going to have to get a bag full against Milden Hall, Greg, to compensate for it?
Well, a bag full against Edinburgh. I'm riding for Milden Hall on Friday night. We've actually got quite a funny story about that. Last year, it was so basically there was no playoffs, and it was whoever had scored the most points in the league won the league. So we're level pegging really with Milden Hall, and it was Bullets and Milden Hall. That's what was going to be happening. And Kyle guested for Milden Hall against Bellevue. And how many did you score for Milden Hall, Kyle?
15 maybe. 15 or 14. But the funny thing is, what did someone say to me afterwards? After the meeting, someone said, about like,
close the gap
on the table. I didn't realise we were that close on the table. And someone said, like, they've caught up to us now. I was like, oh, who? Like, Milden Hall. I'm like, I didn't realise they were actually, like... I didn't realise it was at the top of the table with us until after the meeting. And
would you have taken the guest? Would you have taken the guest booking if you'd known?
I don't know.
I did say to Kyle at the end of the season last year. I said, "Oh, Kyle, have you had your medal off Milden Hall yet through the post?" Kyle Bickley, league winner.
To be fair though, they didn't give me any more guest bookings at the end of the year when it got a bit closer between us. they didn't give me any guest bookings, and I thought they might have, but they didn't.
Thing is, it was a laugh.
Yeah, it was. It was a pretty funny situation.
The thing is, I don't know about yourself, but what the Bullets reminds me of is when I first started, my first proper season, it's 2007, and I had riders like Adam McKenna, Jamie Courtney was in the team, Gary Beaton, and basically the team was just full of mental cases, and we never won anything. We were terrible. The only meeting that we nearly won was against Scunthorpe, who were hammering everybody everywhere. That was when Ty was riding for Scunthorpe, and that's the night I smashed up my elbow. But teams I've been in before, there's not that much patter to say something. It's just there's no enough patter in it, and I just feel like the Bullets. It's like we're all brothers. Like it's so much fun, and especially Ace has started playing little jokes, and I seem to be the brunt of them. But what do you think yourself, Kyle? It's a great team, isn't it? No, forcing it out of you a bit.
Definitely. I like it's good. It's a good group of lads. Definitely, I think.
Who's your favourite rider in the Bullets, Kyle?
It's nice to have. Sorry, you broke up there. I couldn't hear you. Yeah, we have like a good group of lads, and I think it's good to just have something to really enjoy and a bit of banter and stuff in the changing rooms, and it's all a laugh. And at the same time, we're top of the table, so it's good to have a balance of both, I think. And it's just making sure all the lads are enjoying the racing, really.
That's what it's all about. Because I mean, I'm not just turning up on Saturday night to ride the bike. I'm turning up to see all my pals. And the riding the bike bit is just kind of like the bit in the middle. It just makes Speedway a hell of a lot easier when you have got that.
How old are you now, Greg?
I'm 32 in October.
Have you still got ambition?
I have, because I've been asked before by people, like, how many seasons are you going to do? And I don't actually have, I've not put a time scale on it, because I would quite like to, I don't know, I would quite like to step it up, and make the championship. I think last year was kind of my year at playing at it and seeing how I done. This year, I've probably invested too much in wanting to win with the Bullets. But who's that? Thank you very much. Greg Blur is the favourite. Yeah, thank you. But yeah, I think next year I'm certainly going to be going in there hard and looking to get in the championship and actually do something.
Just to touch on it, I mean, all three of you guys had ridden obviously National League or an alternative and Championship or Premier League, whatever you want to call it. Just like obviously the difference between the two is quite a lot. Like just how much different is it? And that's a question to Kyle, Dean, and Greg. Like, all three of you have done it, and you all know the differences, and just how much sharper do you have to be from one to the other?
I reckon the step up between it right now is just insane. It's unbelievable how much of a gap it is. I think a lot of people say to me you ride so well in the Bullets, how comes you don't carry that over in the Bandits? And I'm just like, well, if I'm a bit off the setup in the Bullets, it's okay, I can get away with it anyways. So if I'm just having a bit of an off night, I can totally get away with it because there was some teams at the start of the year that didn't even have any championship riders in the National League teams. And the championship now is, compared to the National League, is just like night and day. There's no step in between at all. Whereas when I came into it in 2017, you had it was a really strong league, really strong league. You had riders like Dan Bewley and Jake Knight and stuff, and obviously Eastbourne had Georgie Wood, Jake Knight and stuff, and Tom Brennan. and then other riders like Charlie Powell in the team at the same time. And now compared to the league now, it's compared to what it was 5 years ago. So it's just incredible for me. I'd say it's just night and day.
And Dean?
I think the difference now is the engines. I think that's made the gap wider and wider and wider. Because when I was at Berwick in the Premier League, you had Paul Bentley was the number one doing his own engines. Aaron Mogridge, all right, he wasn't doing his own engines, but he had Archie Meldrum doing the engines for him. So it's all like he didn't. Yeah, he wanted a fast engine, but nobody really had some super tuned thing. So it wasn't. I wouldn't say it was harder or easier, but I think that gap now, the fact, and it is a fact now, but it never was then. If you haven't got the latest tuned up super rocket ship now, you ain't even going to be on the same corners as them. And that wasn't the case back in my day. The engine wasn't so as important. It was all about talent, if you like. But I think that now that gap has made it so much wider because you've got to spend that money even before your talent comes into it. And I think that's made a massive difference to it.
So do you think that the quest for speed and power is just killing it in a way?
I do, yeah. I mean, I sound like a right old footy here, but it's like the bikes are not going any faster. The back wheel's going faster, but we've done what? You're knocking 2 seconds off what it was back in the 90s, and maybe another second off what it was in the 80s. So it's like 3 seconds, and how much is that 3 seconds costing us? Hold on, I've just got to shut my dog up. Lucy, shut up.
That's very polite.
Yeah, the dog's interrupted, and it's like 3 seconds, and they're spending absolute fortunes to get that 3 seconds. Whereas what difference does it make at the end of the day if everybody's on the same engine, or the same sort of, not the same engine, but the same sort of lack of tuning, if you like, lack of super tuning, then the sport is going to be exactly the same, but you don't have to spend as much to get there.
Sorry, but did they not try a meeting at Isle of Wight where the riders all turned up with their own, obviously?
No, that was that 2-valve engine, yeah.
Is that what that was?
Yeah, the 2-valve engine. No, that worked.
Yeah.
And the people who have rode it says it's a great engine. It performs slightly differently to the modern engine, and it's only 2-valve, but it is a modern engine as such. They did have vibration problems with it, but top riders have rode this engine in Poland, like Limbach rode it, and they had Pavel Szapelski rode it and said it's fantastic. Chris Harris rode it, said it's great.
You're not hearing so much about this. What's he called? The Swiss guy.
Oh,
the Gerhard engine. Whatever become of that?
Rob Godfrey uses them as doorstops.
Is that the official line? Is it?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
I rode
in the garden. I don't know. He's got a few scattered around.
I rode on Gerhard.
But we're using. I saw today a video of Sam Masters' tyre from last night at Bellevue. And apparently it's only done 2 races and there's nothing left of that tyre. Now, that should be saying to the people who run the sport, something's wrong here. The tyre's not up to the job. But realistically, it's the engine or the back wheel spinning too much. If we cut the revs down to, let's say, maximum 9,500, there'd be outcry in Speedway. The riders say, I'm not doing that, I'm doing that. But you could still get a bike to travel at exactly the same speed with 9,500 revs. Because that's what it was back in, let's say, the late 80s, early 90s, whatever it was, on the sort of last of the uprights. That was what it was doing that. And the racing was the same speed, the same racing, but it wasn't cutting holes in the tracks and ripping the tyres to shreds. Quite frankly, that tyre of Sam Masters last night is a disgrace. I'm surprised Health and Safety doesn't say something. You know, there's nothing left of it after 2 rides. That's disgusting, and that should tell everybody in this sport there's something wrong. Something is definitely wrong. And you know, I was having my engines done at Bloomfelt, which is like, if you like, the Kowalski of his day. You know, everybody used Bloomfelt in the 90s. He was like the top tuner in the world. Everybody used him. World champions used him. But my engines never revved sort of above 9,500, 10,000 revs. And they used to, you know, a set of valve springs would last you like 6 months. What do they last now? 4, 5 meetings?
I think a lot of it changed, though, especially when the silencers changed.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
That's when everything changed, I think. I think you could get away with not having an engine with much power when, you know, the silencers, the old silencers were on them. And the bikes, the way the bikes reacted were just completely different. Like now,
I totally agree. I totally agree.
Bike snatches off dirt so much. It's just like up and down and this way and that way. If you rode a let's say a GM from even in the first laydowns, when we first went to laydown, you rode a GM then, and they were nearly all long strokes, and they were just a pleasure to ride. But now, I know you guys don't do it because you only ride what you ride now. But if I rode your bikes now, I have rode one. All it wants to do is pull you through the fence. It's literally pulling you all the time. It just doesn't really want to turn like the old bikes used to. The old bikes used to turn, be a pleasure to ride. They hit a bump, didn't really make any difference. These modern bikes, they literally want to pull you all the time through the fence. That's the way they are. That's the way they're designed. You know, you've got the higher handlebars now, and the whole bike is set up so you're further forward, and it's literally pulling you through the fence. But it's the back wheel spinning at wherever it is, 10,500, 11,000 revs, ripping the tracks to pieces. And ripping
this thing here is actually from 2011. I've got 2 of these short strokes, and I had a shot of a baby offset last year, and I was riding it the same as how I normally ride these things. I put it in the dirt, and it just went boom like that, like gone. Whereas I can put this thing in hard, and it'll start pulling me all the way around the corner without any kind of mental, you know, it's not going to try and knock me off. And I love riding these, but the only problem is they're not fast enough. They've not got enough horsepower. I am losing out big time, and I can't, because of the silencers. I can't. I done 4 rides the other week on a bike that had just been serviced. I held it flat out on the start line, and it lost all its compression.
But the thing is, the valve springs can't cope.
Yeah,
the valve
that's
springs
it.
are not designed for the amount of revs that you're giving it. And
that's exactly it.
So surely there's a problem there. Surely that problem needs to be addressed. It's no good saying put Formula One valve springs in or whatever it is. You know, the sport can't afford it. Surely the way, I'm not saying go backwards, but surely the way is cut the revs down to a level that will, I don't know, suit everybody, and then work the bike that way. And I think with the silencers, I mean, the silencers is a bit of a fraud, to be honest. My friend, my old mechanic built silencers, and he built the Motad one. And the testing is a joke. I mean, honestly, it's an absolute joke. Because they don't test at the same level as what the bike will rev.
Yeah.
You know, the bike will rev up to like possibly 13,000 and 13,500 revs, yet they only take the test at 12,500. So they're not even taking it at full rev. It's a joke.
There's ultimately no point in testing them if they're not going to be tested at the sort of capacity.
Well, exactly.
That they need to be.
But I think it's basically the case of if they did test it at the full thing, they wouldn't pass.
It would show up any flaws with it.
Decibel thing. So it's, you know, they'll do anything to cheat. There was something I was watching the other day. It's another form of cheating, I suppose. I watched a bike weighing. I've noticed they've started doing bike weighings in Britain now, haven't they? I did Glasgow the other night. And,
we had Lee Complin on the other night, and he was saying that he had his bike weighed at Glasgow.
Yeah, that was it, yeah. Well, I saw the bike weighing, and I couldn't understand why. The sprocket was on the handlebars, and the chain was wrapped, like, round the back of the frame. And I thought, why not put the sprocket on and the chain round it and everything. This was a top international rider. And so I watched him. He took his bike away. Basically, he'd extended the chain so far, literally that chain was like, that would have been round a 70 sprocket and gone round twice probably. And then he obviously put a massive sprocket on the handlebars so as it didn't. And then he just took that off and put the lighter stuff on just to get to the weighing thing. And I thought, it's just that simple to...
So is it, there's got to be a when they're doing that, there's got to be a maximum or a minimum that it's got to be.
There's a minimum, 75, is it grams, kilograms? Whatever it is.
Yeah, I think it's
For me,
77, isn't it?
they should say, I think that they should get not a standard bike, but something, let's say a top bike without any machined parts that you can buy, but are not machined. You don't take them home and drill holes in them. And then put that bike together and weigh it, and whatever that comes out as a weight, that's the minimum weight of a speedway bike. Because to me, they're bordering on dangerous now. Magic Janowski doesn't use fork bands anymore. He's relying on what is a mountain bike damper. He's not even using a speedway damper. He's using like a mountain bike one. And Dan Bewley's fork stem thing the other day, whatever it was. That titanium bolt, wasn't it?
Well, the one that sheared in Prague.
Yeah. If it's a titanium bolt, how is it allowed when they don't allow titanium spindles? And it's done for lightness because titanium weighs practically nothing.
How much more speed is he going to gather from that?
Well, the lighter the bike, the quicker it'll go. This is
Dan's about 8 stone soaking wet. It's not like he needs to lighten the bike anymore.
You look at like Jonas Kolodziej, who's like, he's got the body of a 6-year-old. Do you know what I mean? And look how quick he is. It's just add a bit of weight onto the bike and stop this drilling and machining.
This year with yourself, Kyle, with engines, because obviously working close with you throughout the season, you have had it's been a torrid time with your engines. Was it just a case of, was there too many to choose from? Was one not working? Was the tuner not right? What was going on with the engines?
No, I obviously got them serviced by Mark Conti that year. Everything was good. First couple of meetings and everything. And then I just started really losing power, really badly. So off the start, especially, and I was getting left. So I got them checked over by Steve Lawson, and obviously, he's a pretty good friend of mine as well. So some dust had got in and picked the valves. So just got a couple of new valve springs and everything, and it was good for I had one meeting on it, and I took it out to get it checked, and he said, look, the valves aren't seating properly again. So I was had a lot of problems, and then I took it down to Jeff Howarth now. Obviously, he's got the proper machinery for seating valves in. So get the valve seats cut properly, I think, and everything should be good then, I think. But I think it's immense. I had that meeting against Glasgow, where I was pretty much the last out the start in every race because I just could not get to the first corner. I was lucky that the track was so grippy, to be fair. So
it was heavy.
I could actually catch people and use the track to get some points. And last week it was a lot slicker and there wasn't as much passing, and I could not get off the start, and I felt like I was riding the wheels off the thing and not getting nowhere. Went out in Heat 2 and dropped the clutch. Everyone just went like that. And, I was trying to chase them. I was trying lines. And honestly, I got to the third lap and I had arm pump, and the track was slick. But I was pushing that hard, trying to catch them. And I was watching them ride off it in the distance, more or less. And I just came back in and I was looking at my dad and I was like, I don't know what to do. I really don't know what to do. The National League meeting was the same, I think, as, Heat 1. I watched Daniel Joe Thompson just sort of going to the distance. He's just, pulling away from me every lap. And I just didn't feel fast at all. But yeah, I've got them sent back now to Jeff, like I had them last year. And hopefully everything will be good. I think I'm going to try and practice on Saturday morning at Redcar for the Bullets meeting, and just see how it is. It's. I think a lot of it these days is I think in National League as well. For me, I could get away with slightly struggling a little bit with engines. But the Championship, it's just like the starting first corners. Everyone's so good out start to the first corner. It's just like if everything's not right or perfect, then you're against it because quite a lot of tracks these days. There's a lot of passing, and it's hard work. So yeah, everything should be good now, I think, and hopefully start winning some races. And
exactly. I mean, I know what you're saying about like the difference. Obviously, but what we're saying before, the difference between the National League and the Championship. It's obvious that I miss the start quite often, but if the track's got a bit of dirt on it, I can work it, and you build up the momentum and you keep going. Championship, if you miss the start, forget about it, because if you're not coming out that second bend roughly at the same time as the rest of them, if you give them just a little, a couple of bike lengths, you're never catching them. There's not there's not a lot you can do because like you were saying before, the level between Championship and National League is ridiculous. I remember going last year, getting a guest booking for Leicester against Redcar towards the end of the season when it was like the business end of the season, going there and getting absolutely blown to bits. And speaking to Ty Proctor afterwards, a few weeks later, and I says, that guest booking I got to Leicester, I says, it kind of hit me in the head a bit. And he went, that's not Championship. He says, that's basically Premiership. The riders that were in that meeting, he was like, how many of that team ride in the Premiership, ride abroad, etc. He says, that for you to get thrown in there was crazy. He says, so I wouldn't let that affect you. And then when I do look back at the programme, and I was like, oh yeah, no wonder I was getting hammered. I've been riding like twice this month, and I'm going up against these boys. Yeah. So that is the difference there. It's mental, the difference, and I think it would bring a lot of the younger boys on a lot more if we did get some more National League meetings. Hopefully, if we sort of Workington coming back next season, you'll be excited about that yourself, Kyle, is it? Because that's just round the corner for you, Workington track.
Yeah, it's a little bit further than the old track. The old track's about 1.5 miles maybe. I live on a big hill, and then I can sort of see across the town, and then I can see the church next to the old track, and then just over the river. Is it the new one that they're building just on top of Old Side on our side? So yeah, that looks mint. That looks insane.
Am I right in saying that's going to be National League?
I think so. I don't think there's anything nailed on yet. I'm not entirely sure for what they're doing, but I think that's what they're aiming for, and that's the way they want to go. I think they're right to do that. I think it's definitely right to get in the National League. Get a bit of structure about the club, and then if you want to move on, I mean, you look at the track; it's a Premiership standard track. It's wide. It's wider than Bellevue. It's probably similar. Yeah, it's wider than Bellevue. You want to see the size of the thing, and it's not as big as Bellevue, but it's wider, and I think it's probably similar size to Redcar, maybe a little bit bigger. But I was looking at it the other day, and I was just thinking, you could genuinely have to run about 2 or 3 teeth less to ride the fence rather than the curb. The difference in the track is just unbelievable, from inside to outside. I think it'd be a superb racetrack because it'd be one of those that everyone's fast on. Aye. Everyone's fast on, and I don't think you'll be able to pull away from people on it. It's so big and round. So I think it'd be a superb racetrack and good for National League riders, definitely. I think it'll produce some good racing, even at that standard.
And it's good that they've actually brought on like an actual racetrack instead of just a track. To have a track, I would imagine, I don't know, but has it been based on what Bellevue's like? Because Bellevue is such a racer's track. Has it been sort of like, we need more of this for the entertainment value? And the other thing I was going to ask is, obviously you're from the area. What's the hype been like for working and returning, like Speedway returning to working in? Is people getting behind it so far? Is there a lot of media coverage?
You know what? I've seen a little bit of media coverage on it. People on Facebook putting it on and stuff. I think when the track's finished and they get a few practice days in there, I think that's when the hype will really kick in. When you can see all finished. At the moment, the track's down and the fence is down. Just need to put some topsoil on it, I think, for the race surface, and then they're putting the boards up now. I believe they've already put the mesh up, and then they're going to start with the sort of the grandstand area. It's going to be. I think it's going to be a bit like Somerset, where the banks. Where
I was going to say that.
Yeah, it's going to be a bit like there. It's going to be great for spectating. Not like sort of somewhere like Edinburgh where you're lower than the track, but it's going to be great for spectating, I think. But it's nice to see they built a track that isn't sort of
shite
based on a kind of a greyhound track, you know.
Yeah.
Like I can't really understand. I don't know if it's like something to do with planning permission or whatever, but I don't understand why somewhere like Newcastle doesn't bring the third and fourth turn towards pits more. To make it like, I think it'll make it a better racetrack, like a faster track, I think.
I seen the plans to Newcastle Speedway one night, and I'm sure it was one of the Courtneys, while intoxicated with a few drinks, drawing how the track should be on the dust of a front of a van. And, you know, the greatest plans in the world come from the dust on the front of a van with a pint in the hand. And that would have been, you know, it's right enough you're saying that, because it's nowadays we're talking about, going back to talking about engines, and I know that there might be some people that are watching that don't really fully understand the chat with engines. I'm not 100% genius on it. But you go back to, when I used to go, when Kev rode at Newcastle, I think it was 2004, 2003. That was a great team, you know, when they had Kenneth Bier and Bjarne Pedersen. It was a racetrack, and that is because of the engines. But nowadays, the engines aren't, you know, they're not suited to that flat out to off. The engines now are built to be flat out. You come off that bike like that, and it's just, it stops. And it's not what you want.
Nah, they definitely are designed now to be on the cam. They're designed to be on the top of the cam all the time. And they're not designed to be played with on the throttle as much, I don't think. Whereas, you know, like, you go back like 10, 15 years ago, and people say like, tracks are a lot better than the Romans tracks, like Kingsland and stuff, and Workington, but it's just the difference in machinery that's the problem, I think. I think they could have a lot more dirt on if these silencers reverted back to what they were and the engines did.
Aye, working in the good old days. I think everybody loved working in, and the fact that it was quite intense at times, because I think working is the only place I know of that they've had to get a police escort to remove riders, and I'm sure. Am I right in saying that the two times that happened was it Sean Wilson and Andre Compton?
No, I think it was who was it? Someone knocked Oni off. Someone nailed. Someone nailed Stoney. This may be like 2004 or something, I think, maybe, or something like that. And they had to get a police escort out of there. That wasn't.
Was it no Peter Carr?
That wasn't the best. I don't think it was. I can't remember who it was now.
I think I went there with Glasgow, and Les Collins had his windscreen broke.
Yeah, there was a few times where it was just like absolutely nuts. I mean, I watched a video of I think it's a pairs meeting or something.
It was Craig Boyce. I've just had a message from Drew. It was Boise. Yep.
Yeah, I was gonna say Boise, but I wasn't 200% sure. But it was and I remember he had to get a police escort out of the stadium because fans were going nuts. Back in 2004, I think it was. I was watching a video on YouTube of like a pairs meeting there, and you looked at the grandstands. There's about 4,000 people there. It was just crazy. Like it was just packed to the rafters. Oh, it was
Yes,
insane.
great, absolutely brilliant. We went so early 2000s and stuff like that. It was unmatched. You know what I mean? It was a great night, and I think
When we went with Berwick on a bank holiday Monday and won at Workington, and when we went round on the truck afterwards, they were throwing things at us, and it was great. I loved it. It was fantastic. We won by 2 points. I think it was the night Barry Campbell broke the bone in his neck. I
right.
think, or the afternoon it was. I know it was a bank holiday Monday, and we won by 2. Berwick won by 2.
It is mental working, isn't it?
Just to touch on that briefly, Dean, we'll talk a little bit about your time at Berwick. Obviously, we're going back to what, 1999?
99, 2000.
Yeah. So how did all that come about? Was it just because in them days possibly there might have been, dare I say, the vulture race where you didn't have a reserve until press and practice day? Was it one of them, or was it?
I don't know. I don't know what happened at the start of the year, but or pre-season. But I signed for Stoke in that year, and then in February, Stoke had a change of plan and dropped me for somebody else. I can't remember who that was. And then Peter Wake phoned me up and said, "Do you want to come and ride for us?" Mm-hmm. And I just went, "Yeah." Put the phone down and thought, "Where the fuck is Berwick?" I realised it was like 250 miles away. I was like, and then I did that. Is it Carl? What was his name? The memorial meeting. Carl Fryer memorial meeting.
Yeah.
And I was hopeless. I was just like half a lap behind, and I just thought, what have I done? I can't do this here. But I spoke with because you had Craig Taylor the year before me.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, and Craig lived by me, and Craig said, use my carburetor. I use it because we were all on them Dell Autos at the time. He said, I've just bought one of these BZs. Put this BZ on. Believe me, it'll make all the difference. And it did. It gave me an extra like 10 miles an hour. It was like, you know what I mean? And I had my best time in my career at Berwick. That was the sort of peak of my career.
Who was in the team then, Dean?
We had Moggo, Scott Smith, the Dane,
Klaus Christensen.
Yeah, the one who had L shaved into his pubes.
I don't know that.
Tom Madsen. Who else was there? Scott Lamb.
Paul Bentley. That'd be the following year.
I think Paul Bentley came in the second year, didn't he?
Yeah, 2000.
Yeah. And we had Wesley.
Wesley
Waite, yeah. And me at reserve. Me and Wesley at reserve. Yeah, it was good.
Because obviously, if people care to go on Graham McCleary's brilliant YouTube channel, you can see footage of Dean storming the referee's box the night Redden came to town, and the track was, shall we say, different.
Yeah.
And Redden, after it was maybe 12 or 13 heats, decided that the track was too dangerous and they were going to walk out. And Dean went up to the referee's box to protest. And obviously, it's, the other interesting thing about that night is that it was Alan Mugridge's debut for the Bandits that night as well.
It was.
It was good. I remember that. Because Tim Sugar I never got on with Tim Sugar. And I made my feelings known to him. But I just thought it was wrong because clearly, they'd done 12 heats. It hadn't rained anymore. The track wasn't bad. They were just losing.
Am I right in saying was it I might have the name wrong, was it Petri Coco?
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Was he was he a Finnish rider? Is that right?
I don't know. Yeah,
Scandinavian anyway, and he had come down and like what ended up being the last race of the night. And I'm sure he had like facial injuries and stuff like that.
No break his collarbone.
Possibly. I can remember the night. I can remember like he came off, and then that was it. Like the minute he was their sort of star man, and the minute he came off, it was like oof, like the meeting was finished. You know what I mean? It was, and they were away home. I remember it being like that would be like my first year going to Shielfield, and I can remember it as clear as day. But I can remember thinking it was the most bizarre set of circumstances. you know, and it was such a strange.
I
evening,
was furious. I can remember. I think I'd had a really good meeting, and I just wanted to carry on, and I was furious.
Yeah, I remember it vividly. You were storming the referee's box and telling, well, you maybe didn't get in, but you made your feelings known very publicly.
Standing in front of it shouting.
Yeah, yeah. Great times.
Yeah, there were.
Has our host got any questions for the lads? He's rather quiet tonight.
Well, I would just say I've just sat back and absolutely thoroughly enjoyed the chat. It's been absolutely brilliant. No, I mean, playing devil's advocate, Kyle. If the next double header is Plymouth, so if Plymouth get you to guess for them in the Championship meeting, and then you've got to ride for the Bullets in the National League. I don't think you would have any problem with that, but I would certainly have a problem with that as a fan. I would find that quite confusing. But I mean, I take it the phone has been ringing constantly, Kyle. You know, people saying, you know, because I know certainly in the chat that I've seen, I've had people say, you know, are you available for Newcastle? Are you available for Redcar, Plymouth, and Edinburgh? So where do you fancy going, Kyle?
I'm not sure yet. I've spoke to a few different clubs. I think I'm just going to give you a few weeks. I think just so you know, any options that are possible and available for him. Have a good think about it. I think. Mm-hmm. But with the guessing thing, I think. I mean, yeah. I mean, I'd love to do it. I think. It'll be good. And for a fan's point of view, I'm not sure how they see it. Riding against him in one meeting and then falling in another. But I don't know. We'll just have to see. What happens.
Well, I think James summed it up beautifully in his column this evening. You know, it's on the one hand we appreciate, you know, the efforts of Ty, and I know that he's a friend of yours. Did you realise you share the same birthday?
Yeah, we do. Yeah,
we
do share the same birthday. Yeah, I found out in 2017 actually.
Yeah, all the best guys are born in February. Trust me.
Oh,
Is Ty? I haven't seen, like, I'm sort of not really up on it, but it's Ty's heart in it now.
Hi, what? Sorry.
Is his Ty's heart still in racing? Because he just seems to be retiring like every year.
Well, I think he retired. He didn't actually retire fully last year. I think he was just struggling a little bit after COVID with not having any bike time. Right. So he said he wasn't officially retiring. He he said I'm going to take a bit of time out and get things right. But I think, you know, he started this year and he has when he broke his neck in
2013.
Yeah, at Edinburgh. I think he's kind of re-aggravated that injury with his shoulder when he was in Newcastle.
See, he was a really good rider at Wolves.
He rode. I think he rode a couple of weeks ago and struggled, I think. What was that, sorry?
When he rode for Wolves, he was a really good rider, but then he just seemed to plateau after that.
Yeah, but I think everyone has that sort of thing, though, don't they? I believe, you know, they have them years, them golden years, where, you know, you're 100% into Speedway and it's brilliant. But I think some people, you know, get a bit older, start want to enjoy it more and not take it seriously, I think. But you know, I know when he was at Wolves, he was a top rider at Wolves, and in the Elite League, he was a good, handy second string rider. And the Elite League then was, well, I dare say it was better than it is now. It was a really strong league, and you know, it was only 2018 that he was a heat leader in Championship. It was only 3 or 4 years ago now. So yeah, I think he's kind of enjoying his race. He was kind of enjoying his racing, and He's working at the same time as well. So he's got a good job. He's enjoying that, and I think he was enjoying his racing as well. But yeah, I think he's just aggravated this injury now. I think, and I don't know if he's back for this season, or I'm not sure 100% what's going on. To be honest with you.
In fairness to him, in fairness to Ty, like this year, he'd been quite steady. I felt for Berwick. You know, came in obviously difficult number 2 position in the team, more than held his own, and then was just kind of starting to find a little bit of consistency and a little bit of a groove, and then the Newcastle meeting happened, and then ultimately that's kind of been it. And it's a shame that he's aggravated that injury. And it says when we spoke to Gary Flint the other night, he was saying that it seems to be he's fine one day, and because it's sort of nerve damage and stuff like that, it's the next game day can be can hardly sort of lift his arm and stuff like that. So it's obviously not ideal when you're going to be throwing a bike around the track with 70 miles an hour with no brakes. But it's a shame for him, because I felt he was just beginning to sort of find his groove, find that little bit of consistency, and then ultimately we're all left wondering what might have been. Which it's unfortunate.
Yeah. I thought he started to look a bit like the old Ty from a few years ago. Yeah. The last few meetings, I think that I've seen him in 21 last year when he was racing. I don't think he was really enjoying it. And this year he started getting a little bit of a better groove, I think. And I think if he stayed injury free, he'd had a real good end of the season, I think. And we'll set him up for next year, I think.
I tell what,
yeah, he's a shame.
What I was going to ask you, Kyle, was there was an incident at Berwick when you were riding for the Bullets earlier on in the season, where dare we say there was a bit of a kamikaze move on yourself into turn 1, and you got rather animated afterwards. First thing, obviously, everybody was okay. That was the main thing. But dare I say, it's probably the most animated I've ever seen you on track. Just that sort of passion and angriness. I was like, this is a different Kyle Bickley I'm not used to seeing, and I quite enjoyed it. I think we need to see more of it.
Yeah, I think Mr. Bean came riding down gate 1 on his bike, and just completely caned. I do get a bit angry, but I normally just try and keep it enclosed. But yeah, that just totally tipped me over the edge. That did. Yeah, that was just silly. I said, what are you doing? Like, if you're that desperate, you're really that desperate. Like, it was never going to work. I remember going in the corner. I think I was last, and I went round him and Crangy maybe, and I was hunting down Nathan because I didn't make a very good start, and I went into the first turn real deep, try and build some speed up. I remember just sort of like having these weird feelings. I kind of looked over my shoulder a little bit, and he just nailed me. He must have been doing an extra 20 miles an hour, and the Berwick, it was just it was one of the silliest moves I've seen. But good for him. He bent his bike. Yeah, hope he was happy.
But, I say, it was just a different Kyle, and I thought, we're not used to seeing this. That's the first time I'd ever really seen it, certainly.
Yeah, I'm normally pretty good at keeping my cool. I get angry, but I don't normally show it very well. But yeah, that sort of tipped me over the edge, I think, a little bit.
And one other quick, I've asked Greg this, and I asked Leon when he was on the other week as well. Who's the one rider that you hate losing to, where you think, fucking did not like losing to him? And this is to Dean as well.
There's several, isn't there, Kyle?
There is.
You can say Greg. You can
I
say Greg.
I don't think they like losing to anybody. Even your mates.
I'd say there is a few that really do wind me up. There's obviously that one at Berwick. After that annoys me now a lot.
There's a rider that's not riding anymore. Was riding for Edinburgh last year and then pulled out.
Oh yeah, I know what you mean.
Ooh, who's that?
Remember, you were gonna be scrapping
Dean mentioned him before.
It was either at Armadale or at Berwick. Oh, that was when Leon.
Oh, Greavesy. Nathan?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, yeah, definitely not. No, I think we had a bit of beef in like 2019 as well over at Glasgow. Just gave him a nudge, and didn't go down very well. But yeah, that's another one I'd say. There's a few. I'd say there's a few, but like, yeah, they're probably the main ones.
And Dean?
There was a few riders who I didn't like, full stop. It wasn't so much that I wanted to beat them. But, I mean, do you remember Oliver Allen threatening me at Berwick? It was against Swindon. It was against Swindon, and he tried to pass me around the outside, and I just shut the door on him on the straight, on the fence. Oh, and he threatened me and everything, threatened to slit my throat, and he was fucking proper. Yeah, go away, little child. But he was proper. But he apologised to me later. But I always after that, I always wanted to beat him. And there was another guy who I didn't really want to beat him, but he had it in for me. Was James Brundle? Remember him? Rode for Kingsland.
Yeah.
And he just had a thing where he just used to, I don't know, he just had a thing against me, and every time because of that, he could never beat me. Doesn't matter what the meeting, where it was, any track. I didn't even have to try to beat him. He just couldn't beat me, and it used to wind him up even more and more and more. And I just used to laugh at him. But there was a funny one when Lewis Bridger first started off. He was the big flying in on his helicopter to Weymouth and on the big superstar and everything. And I went to Weymouth, I think it was his first meeting for them or his second meeting, and I beat him. And at CovComp, we got there was like a newspaper cutting of me beating him, and somebody scribbled on the bottom, Lewis who? Right. Well, he came up to CovComp about 3 weeks later, and he saw it on the wall. Oh, he went off his tits. He was like, it's like, get over yourself. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I'm an old bloke, get over yourself.
Dean, I was just wondering, are you okay to come back next week? Our guest is Ollie Allen.
Yeah. I'll tell you another one as well. Rennie Ass, remember him?
Yeah, yes.
Russian. Yeah, he fenced me at Hull, and just nearly fighting with him, but he couldn't speak very good English. But there was another one, Nathan, New Zealander, rode for Belfast. Nathan Murray, yeah. What an arsehole that guy was. Took my spokes out at Berwick on the straight. Just I'd beat him to the finish line, and he just stepped me up against the fence, and his silence went into my spokes, ripped all my spokes out. He's such an arsehole. Just right nasty piece of work.
But Dean, can I ask you a question? Have you ever sort of in the sort of slow down lap? Have you gone to shake somebody's hand but actually fetched them off the bike?
I don't think so. I have nearly crashed a couple of times after I've finished the race.
James and Marty, have you ever seen anybody do that at Berwick?
I hear there was somebody did it. They suffered an injury.
I've seen it twice.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, that's all we've got time for tonight.
But just when you mentioned Rennie Ass there, Dean, I remember speaking to Dick Barry at Birmingham one night. In fact, it would be the time that Greg rode for the Bandits at Birmingham. This is how far back it was. And I was speaking to him about the 1991 season. And he told me, he said that they'd signed Richard Knight and they'd signed, I think it was Jimmy Nelson.
Yeah.
And he got a phone call from Terry Linden saying, I've just signed the British champion. And Dick was like, well, why have you done that? He says, well, the British champion, England's number one. I want the best. He says, well, have you thought about money? And he was like, well, no, I've just thought about, like, obviously team building, etc., etc. He says, well, do you think the lads are going to talk to each other and he's going to realise that X, Y, and Z, as in Nelson, Knight and whoever, are not on the money that Kelvin's going to be on. And Dick maintained that they had a World Under-21 finalist from Russia lined up to ride for Berwick that year, but he wouldn't divulge who the name would be. Right. And I was telling James's story, and we maintain that it could only have been maybe Rennie Ass or Roman Pavashny or somebody like that.
Pavashny, yeah. I guess it would probably be Rennie Ass, because when he joined Sheffield, he was about 28, 29, was he? Something like that.
So you're talking that 98, 99. That would tie up.
Yeah. That would tie in.
But he was such a well, I won't say dangerous, but such a desperate rider, you know what I mean? Wasn't particularly fast, but you tried to go around him and he literally just looked at you and turned right on you, and it's just...
Did you ever race against Daryl Keats?
Yes, many times I had collisions with Daryl Keats. many times I had to part him and Mike Hampson. They were forever fighting.
Dangerous Daryl Keats, wasn't he?
Yeah, dangerous Daryl, yeah. The story about Daryl, when he finished his career, he rode for Wolves in his last... They signed him for about 4 meetings at the end of one season, and it was his last career. And he turned up with 2 bikes and his girlfriend. He was fighting with everybody, and he turned up and he was absolutely bladdered. I mean, literally throwing up in the pits. And I don't think he scored that night. And I bought his bikes off him at the end of the meeting for like 800 quid each. He was just like, he was absolutely pissed. He just didn't care. He was just... I'm surprised he even got to the meeting. But he was a laugh. He was a good sort of laugh. But he was just fighting all the time with teammates, with crashing all the time with everybody. And I mean, I think there's a video maybe on YouTube of him fighting with Mike Hampson at Buxton after a first bend incident. And like everybody wades in, it's proper free for all.
Handbags.
Him. He was certainly a character. But a bit
before we go, Dean, just one rider I would just like to ask you about. It was an ex-teammate of mine, Mark Burrows.
Buzz.
Yeah.
Top man.
I rode with Buzz for pretty much a season at Redcar, and we went to the
yes, because I know. I mean, Buzz. I rode with Buzz quite a lot. Like never in the same team, but he always used to rub his front tire on my Kevlars on the back of, just to make I'm here. Not eye to eye. But I do remember him and you, because I remembered you crashed all the time.
Yeah.
That's how I know you, because you were always crashing.
Yep. I always had good crashes though, because we went to the Conference League pairs at Scunthorpe, and went with it was the Cleveland Bays, and there was a cut-in somewhere in the Speedway Star or something like that, and it said about the predictions, and it said, if the Cleveland Bays riders, if Buzz Burrows and Greg Blair can stay on the bike, they've got a good chance of winning the meeting.
Yeah.
And I was in that meeting for about 6 seconds. I came out the second bend and just got a load of drive, and I wiped out Buzz. I wiped out myself, wrote off Buzz's bike, wrote off my bike, and Buzz didn't have another bike at the time to use, so he had to go out in the rest of the pairs meeting on his own on my bike, and he actually done pretty well for a pairs meeting to go out on his own. He held his own, and I think he done pretty decent at it. But yeah, he was a good lad, and he was a good laugh.
I saw he had another skid a couple of weeks ago, didn't he, at Scunthorpe?
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
We had a team talk where I'd never forget. It was a Heat 15. Me and Buzz had a proper. It was probably the most intense team talk I've ever had before we went out in Heat 15. And he was saying to me, "Do this and do that, and we'll do this, and then we'll get a 5-1, and it'll all go perfect." And the whole thing, and we went over it and over it and over it. Getting onto the bike, and Buzz pats me in the arse and he went, "You ready?" And I was like, "Yep." Got to the tapes. I was off gate 1. Buzz was off gate 3. And I could see him looking at me in the corner of my eye, and he nodded like that. And I went back to nod at him, and all I seen was his carb flooding. And I went, "Oh shit, I'm on my own in this one," and that was it. come off the start like that, and I come out the corner and just looked over my shoulder a little bit, and there's Buzz pushing the bike onto centre green.
Yeah, he didn't.
But no, it was good. It was great times. Buzz, he was a great lad. Saw him at Redcar last year for Steve Harlan's 60th birthday, and he has not changed a bit. No. Not a bit. So no, it was good to catch up with him. It's good to see a character like that in Speedway still around.
I did for I think it's for some other website or something, my all-star favourite team, and I put him in it. That, you know, for those like 5 or 6 years, whatever, he's in the National League, we were in every meeting against each other, and I got on great with Buzz. But he always used to just do that, especially at Weymouth, just push his front wheel into the back of my Kevlars, and I'd feel it on the back of it, and I was like, fucking hell, Buzz. He used to do it every time, you know what I mean? You turn around and you're eye to eye with him because he's that close to touching with his handlebars. Like.
You don't see that happening so much now, these sort of antics at the start line.
No, he's really good. He's a really good rider. Just, to me, that's part of the problem with Speedway is the fun has gone out of it. I don't see. I'm not sort of, you know, I've done mechanicking for Skornicki, obviously in the last few years, and I sort of see that angle of it. But it's not like it was when we were at Berwick. You know, it just, we were serious on track, but off track we're just, well, idiots. Children playing. Do you know what I mean? You know, going from Exeter to the Isle of Wight, you know, in 3 lanes of the motorway, racing each other with the windows down, throwing bananas into each other. It's just like
arse on the window.
Yeah, proper idiots. You know what I mean? But that's sort of, I don't know whether it still happens. I don't really know. It's just
shooting people in the hard shoulder with a paintball gun.
Yeah, I don't see it anymore. I just think maybe the fun has gone out of it. I think the sport is too serious.
But
I mean, you've got to be serious, but sort of not serious. You know the stories. I know the stories. You know, Stoney, Carl Stoney. You know, when you ride in the same team as Stoney, you know you've got the king of party animals.
Yep.
You know what I mean? In your team with you, and he's going to be a party animal. As great as rider as he was, he's a proper party animal, and that's missing now. I don't think those characters are around.
No,
I can assure you, I'm trying my best.
No, he is.
Well,
he is.
you know,
Is that right, Kyle?
I think it's the way that sport's going. I think it's everything. Like it's football as well. You know, you had like
I agree.
Maradona and George Best and stuff back in the day. And, and you had characters in it, and now you know, compared to like Maradona back at the top back in his day, and now you've got like Ronaldo, who's just an absolute unit. Who, you know, doesn't drink anything but water, trains every minute of the day, and I think everything's just sort of gone so serious, hasn't it? Like everything's just changed.
He's a brilliant footballer, but you wouldn't want to spend a night out with him.
Oh, shite, wouldn't it?
Imagine a night with Maradona would be a lot more interesting.
Yeah, exactly. I just think the fun has gone out of the sport.
Be away skiing with Maradona.
Yeah. He didn't answer his phone the last time I tried him though, so there you go.
I just think the fun has gone out of the sport. I just.
Dean, did you ever have a night out with Mark Courtney? He was absolutely brilliant.
The Courtneys are sort of. I was in the same team as Sean Courtney.
Yeah,
but I never really sort of crossed paths with Mark. He rode sort of before my time, and he sort of disappeared off the scene a bit for various reasons.
Some would say you were lucky.
Yeah. And like, you know, when I was sort of riding, it was Scott was just starting to ride. Jamie was a little shit, and they were just sort of coming into, you know, just growing up then. But I rode with Sean at Glasgow.
Yeah,
but he hasn't been well, has he? He hasn't been well, has he, Sean?
Sean said he's going to come on.
I think he's good now.
Didn't he have some brain tumour or something?
Yeah, I think this was maybe 5 years ago, but I'm really good friends with Joe, his son. and I stayed Sean's quite a lot actually with Berwick, and I went and played golf with him actually yesterday maybe, or the day before I think, maybe Saturday, and yeah, he's normal now, everything's good.
I haven't seen him in like 20 years, but I did see that he had some sort of brain injury or something.
Yeah, but I think
you have to come back up to Berwick, Dean.
I will. We're coming up in the camper for one of the meetings. Take the camper van and do around.
Excellent.
Are you bringing a bike?
No.
Greg said you can have his.
He was going to buy Greg's £100 after the meeting.
Yeah, if you put on some sort of upright meeting, I might. If you put on some uprights, I might bring one of my Wes legs or something.
Well, I was saying the other night, last weekend, Greg was retiring. Was that hacked off?
I got passed round the boards.
Is that true?
I got passed on my own line.
You fell on your own sword.
I have to say, I will mention this. This new commentary that I keep seeing, this Berwick commentary, is fabulous. That race is Chris Harris. That commentary is like, well. If I didn't know better, I'd think you were trying to get a job in Eurosport.
You did.
I have to say,
sorry, Greg.
Now, the one bit of commentary that I think that has been outstanding this year, and it's my favourite piece of comedy. Well, it was comedy.
Yep.
Commentary was Marty getting really excited about me going from last to first, and Marty saying, "When was the last time you seen a Berwick rider do that?" And James just says, 2 weeks ago with Chris Harris.
Aye.
Stitched up nicely there.
It's a belter.
we do kind of get a little bit excitable when you riders give it the beans round the boards. Young Mr. Bickley there done it with his fellow Cumbrian against Glasgow, and we got a bit animated, shall we say? And the Chris Harris one, and Greg's done it a couple of times, so it doesn't half warm us up on the night, doesn't it, James?
I'll second that. Which is good because it's absolutely freezing up in that gantry tower usually.
The heated studio.
No. Well, it is. If in terms of Berwick, it's like Berwick's own version of heat. Right. So if you look at it like that, yes, it is. But no, there's not afforded such luxuries.
It looks like something you would see in a third world country.
Our host comes round with teas and coffees at the odd time, and to look after us. So it's all good. It's all good.
Yeah.
If he's still sober.
Aye, and well, you can see him with. He's got these fabulous shirts that he tends to wear.
Speaking of wearing something, actually, I've been meaning to ask this, and I keep forgetting, but it's just popped into my head now. James, did you find a bell end sticker on your back after the last time I popped up to the commentary box to see you?
No, should I have?
Yes, because Ace Piper had gotten a bell helmet sticker, and I think it was Kieran Douglas said right end underneath that and stick it on Greg's back. So I walked about for quite a while with bell end on my back. Someone told me about it, and then when I climbed up, the only reason I climbed up to the thing was because I had it in my hand, and I patted you on the back, and I went, "We'll catch you later on." And it must have fallen off, but yeah, I had. You did have bell end on your back for a little while.
I'm gonna have to check my jacket now to see if it's there.
Might still be there. You've been wearing it for the past 2 weeks.
Probably still there. Never even
shopping.
Yeah, but sometimes up on the scaffolding, it's like some sort of Speedway Tourette's. It just sort of comes out and these daft things. And if nothing else, James and I have a giggle about it. Or you can see Graham in the corner, the cameraman, the shoulders going because he's chuckling away.
It's great fun, actually. It has been great fun.
not everybody gets to see a lot of the footage that gets filmed. It tends to just put the better races out.
Do you comment on them live then, or is it voiceover?
No, it's live.
No, live.
It's as it
Live,
happens.
it's live.
Yeah,
That's good.
Yeah. It's as authentic.
Can
as
you
it
not
gets.
tell?
Yeah, live in the moment.
I think if you tried to do it over the top, it would voice over it after the event. I don't think you'd get that same level of authenticity.
No, you don't. Do you?
Like,
I know it's coming.
If it's that's what if you take like that race that you were in where you passed Craig Cook or the race with Chris Harris. For me, my reaction to that, like on the commentary, is as it would have reacted if I was sitting next to you in the stand, or if I was standing next to you in the pits, or whatever. You know what I mean? The only difference is I might have swore, but as opposed to doing it on the commentary. But no, it is like that. To me, it's an authentic reaction to what we're actually saying. It's how I would have reacted whether I was up in the commentary booth, if you like, whether I was standing on the first bench, whether I was standing, wherever I was standing. It wouldn't make any difference. That's how it would be reacted. So, and I'm sure Mark would say the same.
Yeah.
It's a difficult thing what you're doing, because I've done it once. And it was broadcast live. Was it?
Or it was. I don't know if it was broadcast, but it was certainly like tested. It was everything that you would do to make it live. I mean,
and it was the thing that I found difficult with that is, one, I was really hungover, and oh man, that was a nightmare. That didn't red car. And the one thing is that when you get like an overtake about to happen, and both of us were like that, or if there's a crash happens, my initial reaction is to go, oh yeah, fucker, because that's just it's just the way it is. You can't. It's like, blooming heck, that looked doffy nasty. It's very hard to say that in the moment.
It is. It is quite difficult, but it's something that I don't know whether people like it or whether they don't. It doesn't really bother me. It's like, and if people like it, great. If they don't, well, I'd say to them, come and have a go yourself. You know what I mean?
I'd happily watch you on Eurosport. I think
I'd like to see Kyle have a shot.
That'd be great.
I
think like a robot.
I think with the Eurosport now, I think Kelvin's lost his sidekick and has just gone flat, because the guests they've had on with Crump, Pickering, and whoever the other one was,
Steve Worrell.
They just seem, they're knowledgeable, but they're not sort of cut out for the media thing. And I just think they come across as a bit flat, whereas I think you pair come across enthusiastic, and I think you should get the gig.
Yeah. If you
Thank you.
If you ever see the videos and I'm shouting, "Oh my goodness," that's pretty much me saying "fucking hell." That's alternative, It's like the short version and the explicit version.
Aye, we should do an explicit video. Wow, fuck it.
We should dig into them.
We'll do it then. Well, we've nearly hit. Chris, it's nearly 2 hours. I have to say that I've thoroughly enjoyed the chat tonight. I hope everybody at home has been enjoyed watching the chat tonight.
Yeah,
it's been great to have you on, Dean, and it's been good to have you on as well, Kyle. Paul, again, thanks for you getting it all involved and making it happen. And yeah, we'll be on. When's our next one, Paul? Because I haven't got a clue. I never pay attention.
Well, hopefully we'll get one maybe at the weekend. But obviously we've got to look forward to Mildenhall coming and being sent home.
This is prediction time.
Thing again, yes. I mean, Mildenhall, we've surely got to send them back with nothing.
That's the aim of the game. Yeah, that's certainly the aim of the game. We've got a strong team all the way throughout, and yeah, and as Kyle's been saying tonight, his engines are backfiring the way they should be. So I'd like to think that Kyle Bickley is going to be unstoppable. Probably 15-point maximum from Kyle. Greg's going to get double figures because that's what he's wanting.
15 pointer.
To pay for the kids' races.
You've got a sports day to pay for.
I can, the little bugger. So, yeah, I'm pumped up for it this weekend. Really looking forward to it. Kyle, what do you think we're going to do this weekend?
Pump him.
Good. That's a good answer. That's what I like to hear.
That's what we like to hear, yes.
Dean hasn't got a clue.
I don't even know who writes for Mildenhall.
Neither do we. That's why we think we're going to pump them.
Jason Edwards is the number one, isn't he?
Jason Edwards is one of them.
Who?
Jason Edwards.
Is that him with the Hagen shocks gear?
Yeah.
Aye, that's him.
Yeah.
But what do you reckon? Bullets by 12?
8. Bullets by 8. I'm going for.
All right, James, no bother.
50.
He's cheerful, isn't he?
Call yourself a fan.
I'm going 54.
Bullets by 12, and Bickley and Blair 5-1 in Heat 15. Commentators gone mad and shouting, "Oh my goodness, galore." Perfect
You mean
Saturday.
Jings, Crivens, and Help Me Bob.
Crivens and Help Me Roberto. Aye.
And an announcement by the referee saying, "Could the man in the third bend with the bright shirt please put a jacket on? It's putting the riders off." Well, there we go, lads. We'll see you. We'll see you all at the weekend, and we'll get a catch up again. So thanks again, Dean, for coming on, and hope to see you at Berwick sometime soon. The camper.
Next few weeks.
Yep, and Kyle, we'll see you Saturday. And as of course the Shouty brothers, we'll see you up in the gantry. And Paul, we can't miss you.
Thanks very much, guys.
Thank you,
Cheers,
guys.
lads. See ya.